episode of Bridal Buzz.
From all of us behind the scenes at Bridal Buzz, congratulations on your 100th episode!
Hey Bridal Babes, welcome to another episode of your favorite wedding podcast, Bridal Buzz. I am your host, Erica. Today is our 100th episode. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we are going to be talking to Zach Espericueta of SA Podcast Network. He is here to talk to us about why you should always go local for your wedding. Hi, Zach.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm glad you were able to pronounce the name correctly. That's hard for a lot of people.
I was like tuned into the Spanish. So give us a brief intro. Obviously, when I was on your podcast, some of our listeners listened to it.
First of all, thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. It's my first time being on the other side of the microphone, so a little nervous, I won't lie, but excited nonetheless. So my name is Zachary Espericueta, for those of the listeners who maybe don't know me yet.
Yeah.
Of course, some may know now that I interviewed you on my podcast. I'm a local retirement advisor, help a lot of people with money, especially teachers. Both my parents were educators, so I have a soft spot for educators, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm also a podcast host.
Yes,
so
you
in
are.
2020, I co-founded the SA Talk podcast. And since then, it's grown tremendously, in popularity. In fact, last year with San Antonio Magazine, we were named Best of the City podcast.
Yes,
which
congratulations.
Thank you.
Because I got to see, we kind of launched around the same time, and I got to see you grow to that extent, and it was like, hell yeah.
It was exciting.
It
was
was.
exciting. I didn't expect that kind of growth. Since then, in May of 2021, early May, I rebranded the podcast under San Antonio Podcast Network. I host two different shows on that podcast network.
Mm-hmm.
One is SA Talk. I really wanted to keep the name. And that's going to be, I don't like to model my characteristics or behavior off of Joe Rogan, but people that are familiar with that format,
Mm-hmm.
that's what SA Talk really is. The guests I bring on, I'm not really focusing on them. We're not highlighting them. They're just there to really join me in a discussion about local topics here in San Antonio and just talk about it, what needs to be talked about. The other show is an interview series, which people love. They really enjoy, and that's Searching for San Antonio,
Yes.
which of course you were a guest on, right?
I
You
was.
and Bridal Buzz were featured on Searching for San Antonio. And what that's really there to do is just highlight all of these amazing individuals here in San Antonio.
To me, that just kind of shows just how local you are, how much you care about the community. And you have a whole podcast that highlights the community. And not only are you invested into the community right now, but you're from here, right? You're a local.
Right. Native San Antonian, born and raised, went to school here and went to UTSA here. Of course, that's why I have the shirt, right? So yeah, I'm a native of San Antonio. And what's funny is that that's the mission of the podcast in general. Both shows is just to show my passion and love for San Antonio and share it with people, the listeners. My passion didn't used to be the same about San Antonio. I did not like it here. It was boring to me. I wanted to get out.
It happens.
And the perception changed. But when did it change? When I explored San Antonio, when I got the full picture. And so now I'm trying to share that full picture and full story with all the listeners and people that are interested in San Antonio so they can love it too.
Yeah. And that's what makes you so perfect for this episode, right? I mean, it's our 100th episode, which is actually pretty great, but it's an episode where we get to talk about why you should be shopping local. Listeners, today's episode is brought to you by the Canyon Lakeview Resort. If you are looking for incredible lodging options, looking for like a hill country, super lakeside venue, then you need to look at Canyon Lakeview Resort. Their lodging options are charming. They are warm. You can see the lake from their lodging options, their rooms and stuff. So make sure you check out Canyon Lakeview Resorts. And if you want to learn more, we have an episode on them as well. Zach's expertise and my input, we have come up with a list of 5 reasons why you should book local for your wedding. So let's kick this off. What's that first reason?
And keep in mind, these 5 reasons are all kind of intertwined. They can all kind of relate to each other. But first and foremost, when you shop local, when you go local, when you give money to local businesses, that money is going to be reinvested in other local businesses in a couple different ways. Number one, most likely that person, that business owner, lives in San Antonio or the area, right? And so the money that they're making, as far as their profits go, are going to go right back into other local businesses, wherever they're
absolutely.
shopping or eating or drinking. They partner up and contract with other local businesses. And I'll give you an example. I know it's not a wedding example, but there's a great coffee shop in Southtown inside Wong's Bodega, and it's called Fahrenheit 409.
Yeah.
I'm friends with the owner, Amanda. She's awesome.
Okay, yeah.
And her coffee, obviously she doesn't grow the coffee beans. That would probably take away her time. But she gets coffee from a local roaster, Pulp Coffee.
Nice.
And so that's a great example of you supporting the coffee shop and in turn supporting a local coffee roaster. And so you see that among all small businesses here in San Antonio.
Yeah, and to speak to that, with wedding vendors, we actually have a wedding photographer, Myra Eads Photography, and she's coined this term, frienders. And so it's because they kind of work with each other a lot in tandem and reinvesting with each other, like you're saying. And so it's kind of, even in the wedding industry, that's exactly why you should book local.
With the second reason, I think when you shop local and you go into these local shops or restaurants or booking with a local vendor, you get a more personable experience. A lot of times you're dealing with the business owner themselves. And if you're not, if it's an employee, they're most likely one person removed from that owner. And so if you need to speak with them, you can request to speak with the business owner or the main, manager or operator. And I think that's exciting because you don't get that when you go to places outside of where you live. I guess my question would be, how can it be a personable experience in the wedding industry?
Yeah. So, great question. I think it can be personable in the sense that, okay, for example, there was this one thing where we had a baker, Azúcar, and she does this amazing wedding cakes, but she doesn't just do wedding cakes, she does like dessert bars. And she's told us a story where she had a request for this like granola bar or something that she had with she had a bride who had a granola bar on her first date with the man she was about to marry, and she wanted to taste those flavors on her wedding day, but she couldn't find that bar anywhere. So literally, her name's Adeswa. Adeswa goes and creates these flavor profiles and different bars for the couple to taste till she found the reenactment of this bar. And so she made these wedding dreams come true, and they get to taste that same flavor that they tasted when they first met. And that to me is extremely personable, where someone would go that extra mile.
Right. And that kind of goes hand in hand with another item on the list, which is you have multiple options, right? You have different options that you wouldn't have if you were going with a larger business. Yeah. Most times what you see with larger businesses is they have to streamline their operations. And so you either get A, B, C, or D. You don't get all the other options that may come with going with a small business.
So far you get the first reason is money reinvested into the community. The second reason is that personable experience. 3,
we talked about more options. And 4 now, that they care because they have to earn your business, right? I mean, or else they're going to go out of business and they can't help the next customer. They have to earn it because they know you could just go with a large business that might cost a little less because everything's been streamlined, and they know that. And so they're going to do whatever they can to give you the best experience possible, no matter what it is, whether it's a vendor, right, in the wedding industry or a coffee shop. Like, they have to give you the best experience to make sure that you'll come back and support that business so they can stay in business.
What's the 5th reason?
The 5th reason is avoiding scams. Yeah. Okay, and I can't speak to the wedding industry, but when you try to order something online or from a different city, from a different state, or even a different country, the chances of getting scammed go way up. It's ridiculous. And, they don't care about the bad review that you're going to give them because they'll just get business from another city. Yeah. When you support local, you're, again, going back to, they all go hand in hand. You're dealing with the business owner a lot of times or someone related to them, and they're not going to scam you. They can't scam you. You're seeing them face to face. Yeah. And so, when you go with external vendors or external businesses outside of where you live, you just run that risk. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, because you don't get to kind of be a part of the process as much either. I would imagine that if we're going to I've been to a whole bridal consultation at Live and Love Bridal, and they care. They walk you through, they give you the champagne and they let you try on the dresses. And I've recently
learned that there's definitely some national companies that'll kind of let you buy dresses online, and
that's just scary thinking about.
It's and even if you're not going to get scammed, I mean, there's always the I don't know, the fitting, the
risk that it doesn't fit correctly,
mm-hmm.
right? And then when you're doing it, at least if you're doing it locally, you're doing it in person. Mm-hmm. You can try that dress on.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have experience doing that, right? But you can at least see it in person. You know mm-hmm. what you're getting. It's not like, oh, well, I hope this dress is going to fit, or I hope this outfit's going to fit.
Right.
So you just don't run that risk. And I wouldn't want that. If I was getting married and I'm putting on a wedding, that is the last thing that I want to have to worry about.
No, I mean, and as a matter of fact, fun fact, changing alterations for your dress can go anywhere between $50 for something small to like $1,000. And it's a surprise cost that, you don't want to
don't lose your hard-earned money.
Exactly.
That's the financial advisor speaking in me, right? You can use that money for something else.
So how about we recap for our listeners? Reasons why you should book local for your wedding. First one is money reinvested in the community. And what's the importance behind that?
The profit that these small businesses are making is mm-hmm. being reinvested. It's being spent by the business owners and other small businesses.
The second reason is
the personable experience that you're going to get whenever you decide to go with a local vendor or shop at a local business.
Yeah.
Most likely you're dealing with the business owner, which I've mentioned multiple times. And so that's a unique experience that you're going to get that you probably, or that you won't get at a large retailer or a large business.
I like the element of unique because we're all kind of sort of trying to have the most memorable wedding. And if you're looking for unique, personable is exactly what you want. Reason number 3 is that these local businesses care. Guys, everybody on San Antonio weddings cares.
They have to. They have to earn your business, and they have to keep your business. They want mm-hmm. you to be loyal. They want you to go tell your cousin and your siblings and everyone in San Antonio that you know where to book your wedding, or where to get your dress from, or where to get your cake from.
And it's that word of mouth element that they don't want to miss out on. Is exactly like you said. You have to tell your cousin. You have to tell everyone you know. Number 4 was scams. So
I mean, you just want to avoid scams at any possible opportunity, no matter if you're buying something online mm-hmm. or if you're purchasing your dress or a tuxedo online. The last thing you want to do is waste your hard-earned money on something that you don't get, or it doesn't fit and you can't return it and have a bad policy. That's the last thing you want.
And I don't want to say, listeners, that we're guaranteeing that if you go with someone local that they won't be sketchy too, but at least you can monitor the situation a little more and just read it better, right?
And most likely they, again, going back to the fact that they care, right? They're going to try to make it right. Mm-hmm. They don't want you going and telling your neighbor that you had a terrible experience.
And then the last one, reason number 5, is more options.
Yeah, I mean, again, you brought up, Erica, about having a unique wedding. It's your day. So when you go with a local vendor, you can customize it most likely, mm-hmm. Because they're a small business. They don't have their operations streamlined. You have a good opportunity to tell them exactly what you want.
Yeah. And thinking of, this is completely random, but thinking of those more options and the more customizing and personable, I immediately thought of this jeweler. Her brand is Nicole Mara, and she will make the custom wedding ring exactly everything down to exactly how you want it. And it's that local, that person, the whole thing. Alrighty then. That is why you should go local. And this is why you should trust Zach.
So the podcast obviously is here in San Antonio. The people that we interview are either from San Antonio or operate here in San Antonio. A lot of the discussions I have with the podcast guests is about how they give back to the community or what they enjoy about the community. The content that I'm trying to provide to my listeners is I just want them to really explore, by listening to the podcast, all the different businesses and organizations, entrepreneurs, and just great stories here in San Antonio, so that they can in turn go shop at these businesses or donate money to these organizations. And it all goes back to just supporting local and supporting the different businesses and organizations here in San Antonio.
Any closing advice for our listeners?
Try something out. If it's, I know I keep going to coffee. I'm a big coffee guy. I try so many different coffee shops around San Antonio, but hey, try a new coffee shop. Just go look it up. I mean, pull up, you can download the Yelp app. Go look up, a local coffee shop. Try a new restaurant. If You want to go out with your friends, look up a new bar, maybe in a different side of town than you're used to going to. There's just so much to explore here in San Antonio. Guys, it's the 7th largest city, right? And there's so much to explore. And so just try it out. Just look what we have here in San Antonio. And especially when it comes to weddings, right? Look at the different vendors out there and listen to the listen to Bridal Buzz so you can check out what the vendors are.
Yes. Thank you. All right, then. So where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so you can find the podcast on social media at SA Pod Network. SA is in San Antonio, Pod is in podcast, Network, SA Pod Network. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, always posting new episodes, new content. So definitely give us a follow and a like on there. Check it out. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, any podcast platform you listen to. We are on that platform. So check out the podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Zach. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here for our 100th episode.
I appreciate it again. I'm excited to be here for that. So.
Okay, listeners, so that's it with Zach. And thank you for being here with us. If you've seen all 100 episodes, you have no idea how much that means to me and all of us here at the Bridal Buzz San Antonio Weddings family. Make sure you check out Canyon Lakeview Resort. Even if you're not going to book them for your wedding, there's so many other reasons why you do need to check them out. Again, they're a beautiful venue. It's lakeside and they have lodging options. So there's really not much of a reason why you shouldn't be making your way out there. And it's our 100th episode. We're very happy. Make sure you check out Zach Espericueta's podcast, SA Podcast Network. He already told you all those details. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.